The big and obvious item on the ballot on Election Day you've heard a lot about, maybe too much. Then there's the not so obvious, which will be on the back of the ballot. You could call it the fine print. The Board of Elections calls them propositions.
These ballot measures are a power grab.
City Council member Pierina Sanchez is one of more than 40 elected officials trying to warn New Yorkers about Propositions 2 through 6. While they cover different topics, critics call it a rushed process that is a blatant move by Mayor Eric Adams to tip the balance of power in his own favor.
It inserts them into the legislative process in a way that, again, is undemocratic because we're the legislators for a reason. You are the administrator, we are the legislators. That is a separation of powers.
The Charter Revision Committee tells Fox 5 their proposals were well thought out and reflect the needs of New Yorkers, and that the process, though short, was not rushed. City Council members and advocacy groups, including No Power Grab NYC, strongly disagree, saying if Props 2 through 6 pass, it will lead to more corruption and make the city less responsive to everything ranging from education to public safety.
Dozens of advocates for Prop 1 took over Riverdale, the Bronx this month, explaining why voters should mark yes on the ballot measure this November.
But many people don't realize that they have to flip the ballot over to get the propositions on there.
Since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in 2022, 21 states have banned or partially banned abortion. 6 states and the District of Columbia have put measures on the ballot to codify the right to an abortion into their constitutions. All 7 measures passed. Advocates for Prop 1 hope to add New York to that list.
Across the country, millions of people, millions of women no longer have access to basic reproductive rights because states are taking it away from them. And the Supreme Court said it was A-OK. So we need to make sure that the protections that we provide for New Yorkers are more than the ones that we provide right now, which are just in law. This would enshrine it in the state constitution.
That's what Prop 1 is all about. We're protecting the right to abortion, and we're going a step further. We're making sure that no New Yorker can be discriminated against because of who they are.
It's that second part that many opponents take issue with. The amendment seeks to add new protected classes to the state's Equal Rights Amendment, including pregnancy, pregnancy outcomes, and reproductive health care and autonomy, age, gender identity, and sexual orientation.
I think what they wanted was that nobody was going to read the text of this proposal.
The Coalition to Protect Kids is making an equal effort to dissuade people from voting yes on Prop 1.
They say Prop 1 is about equal rights,
saying it opens the door for men to use women's bathrooms, transgender adolescents to compete on sports teams that align with their gender identities, and minors to seek abortions without parental consent.
There are a lot of sexual predators out there where the case might be that it wasn't you were willingly having consensual sex. And now they could take you to have an abortion and say, tell them you don't want your mom or dad to know about this. And now we're covering up for sexual predators.
New York's Republican Party tells CBS News New York, quote, if Prop 1 is approved in November, all bets are off on how far this can go. The Catholic Bishops of New York calls the ballot measure a wolf in sheep's clothing, saying making age a protected class could strip away parental rights. Democrats insist it's about codifying abortion and providing equal protections for all New Yorkers.
What's your response to those opponents?
My response is that this is very, very similar to they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. In other words, it's a hyperbole for the sake of just kind of shocking people into believing something that is not true.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Sometimes things go wrong. Well, it is the day before election. This video will be dropping on the Monday before election day. Get out and vote. It's all been taken care of on my end. And, it is important to get out there because there's a lot that's going on. And it's a scary time. To the point that, this is a point where, listen, and you may say, well, you're blowing it out of proportion on there. No, I'm not. There could be a time if it falls in one direction, you may not see my show anymore. You might not see any other videos from other YouTubers or Rumble or anything of that nature, because basically there are those out there that wants to change the Constitution. Whether it's the state constitution or the Fed or our own United States of America Constitution. They want to do that. They want to change the rights where basically people that are not American citizens, the right to vote. But there is a law that says if you're not an American citizen, you cannot vote in our elections. I mean, put to the point that if I'm from another country and it's election time, I fly in and I decide to put a vote in for someone in there. It doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right. They should not have the right to vote. If you want to become an American citizen, that's fine. You go through the process. You go through the legal process, not an illegal process. And this is what's been going on. This is what we're having this problem in New York right now. We have a crime wave going on. Our politicians will say, no, it's not happening. No, look at the numbers directly, not to what they're giving you. Remember, the FBI has just quietly changed their numbers to reflect the true crime increase that's going on in this country, where they said, no, you heard in the debate, no, it's not happening. We're going to fact check you. No, it's wrong. The FBI says that basically it's gone down. No, actually now we understand, because basically New York, Chicago, California, they were left out of those results. And basically crime is up. So they've lied to you. They've truly lied to you. And then you have like stupid situations. And I'll give you the perfect example here in New York. And, if you haven't seen this yet, and basically the council here in New York has legalized jaywalking in New York. And you say, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with legalizing jaywalking? Because what they told you is because it was disparaging minorities were being arrested overall. Okay, let's take that thought, that because minorities were being arrested for jaywalking, does that mean if minorities are committing, and I'll put it this precision, murder, should we decriminalize murder? Should we? Because there's an overwhelming amount of minorities that are being arrested for that? No, that is a stupid answer to the situation, that basically you're legalizing laws basically so a certain group would benefit, that they don't get arrested again. This is the things that you hear. And I'm going to read this a little bit of this article. We're not going to go through the whole thing. A part of New York's daily routine that marks a true Knickerbocker from the newbie is now legal. Jaywalking or crossing the street outside the crosswalk was legalized in the Big Apple after Mayor Eric Adams failed to either sign or veto the legislation 30 days after it was passed by the city council. Now, understand, the city council, most of that city council is made up by activists. Please note that. Please note that in your mind, in the back, when you hear stuff like this. The law introduced by Brooklyn Councilwoman Mercedes Narcisse decriminalizes the crossing of the street outside the designated pedestrian crosswalk, as well crossing against traffic signal, and scraps the previous $250 fine for jaywalking. Hey, remember, before we go on further, remember what they used to say? They used to tell kids, Cross on the green, not in between. Cross on the... Remember that whole thing? And there was a reason for that. There was a reason for that program that basically taught kids you cross at the green light, you don't cross in between.
No matter how you say it,
Cruce con la verde, en el medio pierde.
it always means the same thing.
Attraversate soltanto al segnale verde, mai nel mezzo della strada.
Cross at the green, not in between.
Geht da über de Gas nur denn wenn es ist grün, nicht irgend zwischen den Mitten vom Block.
It means cross at the corner, never in the middle of the block. Don't walk until the light turns green. Always cross at corners where motorists expect you and where you can see them. Cross at the green, not in between. In any language, it's a way of life.
Because you could get hit by a car, get hit by a truck, a bus, or anything to that nature. Because basically they're not stopping the light. They're going to continue, the vehicle is going to continue moving as you're crossing. They're not going to stop for you. They have the right of way. They haven't changed the law of the right of way. All they did was saying, well, we're not going to fine you. But it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead and jaywalk. That's what they're telling you. Continuing on, Narcisse and the criminal justice reform advocates said that the decades-old law making jaywalking and illegal and finable established in 1958 decriminalized against New Yorkers of color, and decriminalization of the safety rules was a necessary reform. No, it wasn't. This was a safety issue. A safety issue. And a lot of times, running in the middle across the street, for some people, they may have just committed a crime. Yeah, that has happened. You know, they just won't put those stats up. Let's be real. Every New Yorker jaywalks. People are simply trying to get where they need to go, Narcisse said in an email statement. Laws that penalize common behaviors for everyday movement should exist, especially when they're unfairly impacting communities of color. If it's happening in their community, they should be taught not to. Not that because they're getting penalized. You know, they're walking across the street. They're in danger. They're in danger. Cars are not going to stop. What are you going to charge a driver murder because someone in the middle and fine that vehicle? No. You're causing a traffic jam. You're causing a traffic disturbance. More than 90% of jaywalkers' tickets issued were given to Black and Latino pedestrians, according to the Brooklyn Democrat. I want to see those figures. See, they don't put out those figures to you. They just tell you a number. They throw a number out of the air on that. We don't have a complete perspective of the entire 5 boroughs of New York. They said, well, it's according to the Brooklyn Democrat. Is that just Brooklyn alone? Is it Manhattan? Is it the 5 boroughs? No, they're just telling you 90% of jaywalkers issued in 2023 are given to Black and Latino pedestrians. What about Asians? What about, they don't tell you that situation. The new law changed the city administration code to allow pedestrians to cross in the middle of the street at any point in the road, including against traffic lights. It doesn't, however, give pedestrians the right of way when choosing jaywalking, and warns that they should still follow the traffic signs and rules including stopping for oncoming traffic. No. When you're jaywalking, you're not stopping for oncoming traffic. You're just going. Understand that. They don't stop. I lived in New York a lot. There's 10 years where I wasn't here, but still, I grew up in New York. People run across. Yes. I'll tell you this. You want to see the worst of it? Check out Grand Central Station or Penn Station at the height of rush hour. And how many people are just running across on there. And the buses that are trying to get through. It's a dangerous situation. What you're doing is You're giving a green light to cross the street during traffic, right into traffic. All road users are safer when everyone follows traffic rules, City Hall spokesman Liz Garcia said in a statement. We continue to encourage pedestrians to take advantage of the safety mechanisms in place, such as daylighting pedestrian islands and leading pedestrian intervals by crossing in a crosswalk with the walk signal. The legislation doesn't protect jaywalkers from being sued if they cause a crash by their actions. Not all council members were supportive of the bill. Yes, that is correct. They gave you a green light to cross the street. But see, the thing about it is, if you get sued, who's going to pay for those legal fees? Not the city council. Trust me, this is going to come back to bite them in the ass. This is when I tell you, when you're voting people into office, and like what we're doing tomorrow, pay attention to what their stance on rules and regulations and laws, who are going to impede on the rule of law, and who are going to make sure that we follow the rule of law. Like I said, you've just turned the streets of New York into Death Race 2000. Literally. That's what you've done.
Women are still worth 10 points more than men in all age brackets. But teenagers now rack up 40 points, and toddlers under 12 now rate a big 70 points. The big score, anyone, any sex, over 75 years old, has been upped to 100 points.
They don't think these laws when they say, well, we got to protect the minority communities. Oh, sure. Protect them by putting them in greater danger. Is a joke of epic proportions. This is why we tell you, listen to what they're saying. Read the laws. Ingest them. If it's something that's very confusing, don't vote for it. What was it that Nancy Pelosi says?
We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it away from the fog of the controversy.
Yeah, that's right. You got to pass it to find out what's in it. When you hear something like that, you better run to the ballot box and says, no, I'm not voting for that. These are things that these councils and Senate and House, the House, that they push out these laws, and then these, some of them sneak in these little paperwork in between to change laws. And speaking of changing laws, here's one thing that I'm going to tell you straight out as a New Yorker. Those of you voting on Tuesday for the note that there is a ballot proposal, 6 of them, 6 ballot proposals. And I'm going to tell you straight out, shouldn't vote for any of them. They're going to, all 6 of these is going to remove your rights as New Yorkers. Prop 1 is going to tell you that basically they're trying to protect the LGBT community, they're protecting abortion rights. They're taking away your rights, your parental rights, your right to vote on things, to agree and disagree on things. They're taking away, even though they say it's an abortion bill, they're taking away women's rights. Yeah, that's right. They're going to allow, when this is, because it's very vague. If you get a moment, go read Prop 1, and you'll understand why. They're putting it in vague terms that will allow men who claim to be transgenders to be in women's locker rooms, compete in women's sports. Understand this. Understand this. No one is taking away LGBTQ laws. No one is taking away abortion laws. They said, well, they got Roe versus Wade. It was supposed to be the law of land. Understand, it's not for the feds. It's not for the government, the U.S. government, to proclaim laws of the land for abortion rights. It should be left to the ballot box, to you, the voters. Understand that. This is what they're using this against you. They're using Prop 1 against you. Because they're going to take away your ability to vote against some of this stuff. Because basically, there are things out there that will be really just, and they said, well, abortion outside the body, it doesn't exist. Yeah, there are several states that have it on their books already. And the thing is that when it comes to the abortion, it should be left to the people to vote for themselves, not for the government to institute a heavy-handedness to the situation. Understand that. People, they're like, oh, they took it away from. No, they didn't take it away. They gave you the right to vote for it, to put up ballots on it in your state. Think before you comment on that, because people will tell you that. They'll say, oh, they took it away. No, they gave it back to the people. And what's going to happen with Prop 1? It's going to say, well, your abortion should be all right. It's already a right in New York.
Now to developing news out of Albany about reproductive rights here in the Empire State.
The state legislature has passed the Reproductive Health Act. Governor Cuomo moving quickly to sign this into law tonight. This is part of his administration's push to make sure women here in New York keep their right to control their own bodies in case the Supreme Court ever overturns Roe v. Wade. The new law would also allow physician assistants to perform abortions here in New York.
And people have the right to remove it if they want to, if they're against it. I'm going to read this a little bit. This is from the New York Post as well. Prop 1 demands New York Governor will repent for calling them evil forces of darkness. Catholic leaders and others with the coalition opposing the state's controversial Proposition 1 abortion measure are demanding Governor Kathy Hochul repent for calling them evil and forces of darkness. Prop 1, which is on the November ballot, is being referred to as an equal rights amendment, equal rights, we do have federal and state law on it. You're trying to change the Constitution. By Hochul and other backers, is aimed to enshrine a woman's right to an abortion in the state constitution. You don't need to put it in the Constitution. The law is there. Understand that. You don't change the Constitution. That becomes a problem. If they want to remove that law, we have the right to do it. Putting it into the Constitution doesn't give us the right to do it. And you may say, so, well, that's good. No, it's not good. Because that would be the beginning of the end of our constitutional rights. This is very vague, again. Vague as far as the law. By putting this in, it starts to change things. And they'll go after other things, including gun laws, other rights that we as Americans are appreciative of in this country. This is just the first step. But the proposal also includes protections for people based on their gender identity, ethnicity, or national origin. In other words, they're trying to get illegals to vote. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make them into citizens, that's against federal law. They're trying to make them vote, which is against federal and state law. Opponents claim the vague language opens the door, and this is on both sides of the aisle. There are those on both sides of the aisle that disagree with this. Opens the door for biological men who identify as transgender to compete against women in sports, and will allow youngsters to get sexual reassignment surgery without parental consent. They also claim that taxpayers could be on the hook to pay for services for illegal migrants, and that amendment is, if approved, paves the way for non-citizens to vote in elections.
Month after month, I stood up and I said, this is going to come to a neighborhood near you. Well, we're here. We're here. We're getting no support on this national crisis, and we're receiving no support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
And they say, it doesn't say that in there. Sure it does. Sure, it's the vagueness that is the problem. They're trying to scare us and say all these things are going to happen if you pass this, Hochul said during a rally of Democrats on Saturday in Yonkers. But it is. Prove us wrong, Governor. Prove us wrong. It's very, again, vague. Don't let them in. Don't let the darkness win over light. Don't let the bad evil win over good. Hochul said in remarks first reported by Politico NY Playbook. But the opposing vote no on Proposition 1 committee blasted Hochul for smearing its members and demanded an apology to New York Cardinal Timothy Dolan and other Catholics, faith-based New Yorkers who oppose the measure on religious or other grounds. As a Democrat and a Catholic, I am totally shocked by Governor Kathy Hochul's attack on the Catholic Church, its leadership in New York, and nearly 6.5 million New Yorkers who identify as Catholic, said Bobby Ann Cox, a Westchester County-based constitutional lawyer and state rep for the committee. Not only her words are incendiary and hateful, but also deceptive and wrong, Cox said. Prop 1 is a Trojan horse of the most epic kind, filled with woke policies that will give illegal aliens the same rights as citizens of New York, make the New York state a permanent sanctuary state, allow the boys to compete in girl sports, allow males to invade safe spaces of women, like in bathrooms and locker rooms, also handcuff parents from being involved in important decisions about their minors' children's life. Yes, this is correct. This is what is happening. Understand, this is the same rhetoric this government has. You know, they're calling us garbage. You know, garbage, because we are voting for one particular politician. Understand, you know, people say, well, you know, Kill Tony said this, and he's a comedian. He's a roaster comedian. And remember, some comedy bits have some truth to them. Now, as far as putting in the Puerto Rico aspect to it, which myself, I am Puerto Rican, there is a problem in Puerto Rico. People don't realize this. There is a problem. There is a landfill problem. And they have a recycling problem in Puerto Rico. The landfills are jam-packed to that situation. Has anything been done? No. The liberal Democrats have done nothing, including the ones that are on the island itself. Nothing to resolve the situation. It is the same situation during the hurricanes when they, you know, when the power went out. The power center, that the area that the factory that handles all the power and everything like that, is well over 50 years old. Nothing has been changed on that. And they said, well, we'll bring wind farms in and put up solar panels. That's not going to help the island. It's not at all. Try running a wind farm when a hurricane passes by and wrecks the equipment, or the solar panels as well. And remember, these panels and farms are a detriment to the environment itself, including the recycling of it. It basically can harm the environment. We already know this for a fact. But they're not going to tell you this. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that George Lopez had made a joke about Mexicans at the Kamala rally.
Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall, and George Lopez said, you better build it in one day, because if you leave that material out there overnight.
You know, to that situation. But nobody talks about that. But meanwhile, the president went out and said, oh, they're garbage. And meanwhile, the New Jersey governor backed up with it, was saying, well, no, he was not talking about the Americans, the voters on that. He was talking about the people in Madison Square Garden. Oh, the people that were in Madison Square Garden were New Yorkers. So you're calling New Yorkers garbage? Think about that. See, the thing is that people talk through their ass, especially politicians. You know, what's the old saying? You know, I'm a politician. I'm kissing babies, meanwhile stealing their lollipops behind their back. Yeah. You know, do I trust Trump 100%? No. But he's done a lot more than anyone else has. He's already shown us in 4 years what he can do. I mean, well, what's the last 4 years have been? It hasn't been good for me, really. You know, I'm tired of the shop where basically, I'm literally, what we're doing is we got to do 2 days of just planning to what we're going to get. Hopefully that it's in stock and it's at the price that we expect it to be. And it happens, and it does happen. That basically we don't get what we want every time. Let me put it in this perspective. Before we move on this. Me and my wife, okay, when we do shopping, we do it on a 2-tier situation. My wife is the one who goes into the store. I'm here at the office. And what I have in front of me is all the ads for this. And also I'm on the online, people like Instacart and all that. And also the online site to try to price everything if something is not in stock. This is what we have to do. And what is, my wife is we're on video phone talking to each other, seeing what's in stock, what's not in stock, and we try to do this. And this is, and it takes a couple hours. It takes some time to do this. And we look at the prices. I mean, hell, a gallon of juice is $7. $7. Where we were paying about $4 several years, before this administration went up. Eggs, I'm lucky to get eggs at maybe $5 for a dozen and a half. Most of the time, they're $11 for a dozen and a half eggs. $8 for a full dozen. Bread is about $4 to $5. Now, you may say, well, they got the cheap stuff on there. It's taken us about well over a year to find a brand of bread that is well priced and doesn't fall apart even when you toast it. I've gone through, a lot of the brands. I mean, there's some good brands out there, Sara Lee and all the Pepperidge Farm, but they're expensive as hell. Expensive for bread. Bread should be less than $3, even on the high-end stuff. I mean, I've seen steak go for about between $30 to $75 for 2 pieces of steak. That's incredible. I mean, the only thing that's cheap out there is chicken on a basis, depending on what you're looking at. If you're looking at thighs, if you're looking at especially drumsticks. Drumsticks have been cheap lately. I wonder why. I mean, they have next to no meat on them. It's like a chicken wing. It's like a chicken wing. It's chicken wings got next. I mean, it's a quick meal to the situation, but still, cereal is expensive. Toilet paper has gone through the roof. And this is, after COVID. We're not talking during COVID. This is after COVID. This is what we go through. And this is what is ahead of us if we go in one direction. This is a danger right now. Right now in New York, we have illegal migrants that are committing a good chunk of the crime in New York City. We know this from the stats. Not from the stats that Mayor Adams is giving. We know this from the stats themselves, the true stats themselves that are not being reported. Because they're not putting those into the fact. We know what's going through the courts right now as far as the criminal element. That's the stats we're getting. Meanwhile, we have the Sweetheart, the Roosevelt Avenue, the Sweetheart Avenue up there. Right now, the illegal vendors are back. It's going to be sometime before the prostitutes are back. It's not going to stop. They're not pushing for arrest. They're not using ICE to get rid of these people. They are here illegally. To that. Now, as far as Proposition 2 through 6, I advise you go ahead and read them. And you're going to find that most of them will say that it gives the mayor a easier way to veto a lot of the council laws. Now, you may say that's a good thing. This might be a bad thing. I overall saying giving the mayor more rules, more rule of law in the city of New York is a wrong thing, especially under this administration. We don't need him to circumvent a lot of the stuff that's being put out there that is legitimate laws that we do need in the city of New York that needs to be changed. You know, they're circumventing to this situation. And we're hearing this all over the place. That they, you know, you see what's going on in California and the exodus that has happened there because of the laws the governor has imposed onto that. And the same thing in New York. And I've told people, stand your ground. You still have the ability to vote these people out. Don't listen to the mainstream media. Don't listen to the activists. Educate yourself. You still have the internet to do it. You can educate yourself on what is going on. Read these propositions. Read these laws. Look into these politicians. What have they done? What have they not done? Just because, and I'll put this perspective in there as far as Donald Trump. Remember, Donald Trump was a guy that was well liked, heavily praised around Hollywood, around New York, around throughout the country, because he, you know, there were people that said, well, you know, he's dropped money in my campaign, he's helped us, he's done this, done that. When he started to run for president and he said what he's going to do, they didn't like that because basically he was taking away their power from them. Remember, he was interviewed on Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, and she praised him. She's like, "Will you run for president?" Oh, no, not really right now. You know what is she feeling today? She don't like him. Same thing like everyone else. And then they twist his words. They twist the words. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. They twist the words. That whole grab the P word. You know that. You know, go back and look at the entire that entire conversation, and you'll be surprised what was said. And it's something that is true in Hollywood. It's something that is true in Hollywood. You see what's been going on in Hollywood to that situation. You know, the whole Harvey Weinstein. That's what he was bringing forward. You know, this is, you know, that whole Harvey Weinstein situation and many other things that are going on there. But they're not going to let him talk about that because they don't want to bring that out. You know, there are problems in Hollywood. You know, they try to lambaster the porn industry and saying that this, that, and the other thing is happening, but actually it's happening more in Hollywood. You know, this is land of the free, home of the brave, but they want to remove that. They want to remove the, you know, the flags that are up there. Look, put it this way. Look at a lot of these campaign stops by a lot of these politicians. Look who's waving the flag and look who's not waving the flag. Remember that. Remember that perspective. You know, you're proud to be an American because I can choose who I want to vote for. You know, they're trying to stop you from voting for one particular party or one particular person. That's against the law. Whether you like him or not, I can agree and disagree with you to situations on candidates. But you can't stop someone from running for office. You can't stop someone from giving their opinion. When you hear the terminology misinformation or hate speech and all that, no, you have the ability to speak. That's constitutional law. That's the first thing they teach you in law school is the First Amendment. You know, these days politicians will insult you, the voter. I'm not talking about the politicians insulting other politicians. The voter. They tell you you're a degenerate. They tell you you're garbage. They tell you you're a Nazi. Why? Because I don't approve of what your politics is. That basically I don't like your policies. I'm allowed to say that. Convince me what you're going to do for the citizens of the United States of America. Convince me. That's what you're supposed to do. One side is doing that. And they're darndest. You know, if this video doesn't get pushed forward, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, they hide this video because basically that's what it is. They try to hide the truth. We have to have the truth. You have an opinion, I have an opinion. Of course, we can have a conversation about it. One of us could be wrong. We could be both wrong. Or we could be both right. But we have to talk about it to find out. And that's what they don't want you to do. Truly. So remember, get out and vote. Get out there and vote. You know, I only brought up these little things because it is very important here in New York. You might have some propositions in your state to look at. Check them out. If you put it this way, if it sounds that it's good but you don't understand it, don't vote for it. You have that choice. Yes, no. You know, that's the thing. If it's too vague to the situation, vote for it. Don't vote for it. Because that's what some of these guys who write up these laws and proposals and stuff like that, they're vague. They don't go into it. You have 10,000 pages on a law that they're trying to put out there that they want you to vote for. And they tell you, oh, it's for your freedom. Okay, tell me why. Tell me what it's for. Let me know. You know, and they tell you, well, no, you got to vote for it, and we'll tell you what it is in it when it's over. No, I want to know what it's in it completely. You don't need 10,000 pages of of gobbledygook to try to change the Constitution. You know, we don't need. You know, we're not going to trust you on that. So once again, go out there and vote. Get out there. Do your civic duty. Get out there. Hopefully, we'll be on the other side. Things will be better, or it's going to get worse to that situation. So comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. Don't forget to hit that like. Share this video, and hopefully today's the day I earn your subscription. We normally don't go deep into these election situations, but there's been a lot going on, and I think it's time we ramp it up just a little bit on there, because we do talk about age verification, we talk about CASA and all those other things, but that's important to get out there and vote against those as well. You know, we've been given freedoms. That's why the Constitution, that's why our forefathers did what they did when they wrote the Constitution, to protect us from situations like this that's coming up. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Please note, we will not have any Tuesday shows up. The reason is, it's election day. We want you to get out there, and basically the coverage will be massive. But our Wednesday and, of course, our Taco Thursday, we will be having shows on those days as well. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.